All right, welcome back to the Four Rivers Cultural Center, Cooking with Culture Around the World. Today we'll be doing naan, an Indian flatbread. Traditionally it's made using yeast, but today we'll be doing a quick bread version. We'll be using baking powder. Okay, so flatbreads were probably the first breads to be made. Eventually wild yeast got into them and they became leavened with that. But we're going to be using baking powder, which came along in the early 20th century, and we'll use that for our leavening. So before we get started, let's show you a list of all the ingredients. All right, let's get started. We're going to use flour, all-purpose flour, and I'm going to use 3 cups here, and we're going to use a food processor today to speed things up. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. Okay, and then we're going to put in it the baking powder. And we're going to use 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And we'll add to that 1½ teaspoons of salt. There we go. And so we'll pulse all those dry ingredients together. Just mix it up. Okay, then we'll add the 3/4 cup of buttermilk. Let's see if we can drain it a little bit better. All right, and then we'll add warm water a little bit at a time until the dough comes together. Good. So now what we'll do, we'll take the dough out, processor. It's a little sticky. Might put a little bit more flour into final, but here we go. Get it out of the food processor. Okay, there we go. And we'll give it a little kind of a knead here. A little bit of the flour. And we'll cut this into roughly 6 equal portions. Okay, so I've got a little pastry cutter here, and I'll cut that into 6 portions. So let's say, all right about there. And then maybe a 2/3 there. You don't have to be perfect, but then let's kind of knead them into little balls, and they don't have to be perfect. And I've got an oiled cookie sheet here, and the oiled cookie sheet will place these balls on. In fact, I'll roll them around so that the top side also has a little bit of oil on them. Let's do that. That'll keep our plastic wrap that we're going to put over the top while we let it rest, keep it from sticking. Okay, so let's do that. So roll it over. Last one. Okay. All right. So we have our 6 balls. They all have a little bit of oil on the top to keep the plastic wrap we have here, keep it from sticking. And okay, so they're all rolled out, and they need to rest for about 30 minutes for the dough to rise before you fry them up. So we'll let them rise, and then you want to start your cast iron pan that you're going to fry it in maybe after 20-25 minutes to get it preheated and pretty hot, and then you'll be ready to roll it out and fry it immediately. Okay. All right. So the bread has a chance to rest for about 30 minutes, and about 10 minutes ago I started warming up the cast iron pan so we can fry the bread. So let's begin. So I'll flour my hands a little bit, and we'll get one of these doughs, flatten it out, and we'll just roll it out. You know, if you can get a round piece of bread, that's great, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So, and that's about all you need, is right about there. Let's make sure it's not sticking. Oh, it's not. Okay, now we're ready. We'll just put it into the frying pan. So I'm going to take this, I'll maybe dust it a little bit so we don't have too much excess flour. Okay, and then I'm going to take it over and I'm going to put it right in the pan. I'll straighten it out a little bit. Okay. Okay, so we've got it in the frying pan, and it'll be cooking for maybe 1 or 2 minutes, but the real thing is not so much the time as to watch, because the bubbles will start forming and you'll know that it's cooking along, and we'll check the bottom to make sure it's not getting too dark. We don't want to burn it, but if it gets a little bit of burn on it, it's not a bad thing. So let's let it go a little bit. And the temperature of the pan is roughly 450, 475, could be even as hot as 500. All right, let's check. All right, we're starting to get some browning, so that's good. Might turn it up just a little bit more. Okay. All right, we got those bubbles forming. Let's check again. All right, let's flip it over. So in India, they would use a tandoori oven, and the temperature is probably over 500 degrees, and they slap it on the inside of this hot oven that's wood fired, and it takes a matter of seconds and it's done, and it bubbles up really fast. So we could probably be a little bit hotter, but this way you have a little bit more control over it. Let's see how we're doing. Yeah, I could cook a little bit more. In the meantime, let's brush the top half with a little bit of oil. And in India, they'd use probably ghee, which is clarified butter, but we'll just use vegetable oil. And I think I'm going to turn on the fan because if this starts smoking, I don't want our fire alarm to go off again, our smoke alarm. All right. This is looking pretty good. Just let it go a little bit. All right, that's looking, you can see the bottom there, that's looking pretty good. We'll let it go a little bit longer because I can tell there's some spots that the dough hasn't quite cooked. Yeah, it sort of looks a little like a tortilla, although there's some leavening in it, so it's a little softer than a tortilla. Okay, so that's good. We're going to put it down for a moment. I'm going to brush that side with a little bit of oil also. And then we'll put it in to this plastic Ziploc bag so that it can soften up a little bit. There we go. And that's the first one, and we'll go right through and do the next 5. Okay, here's the last one. We're going to roll it out again. You just want it to be fairly uniform. Doesn't have to be perfectly round, but you want it to be relatively even in its thickness. So there's that. Okay, and we'll throw that one in the fry pan. In the meantime, our last one over here, or next to the last one, is done. So we'll throw it in our bag. And each time the frying pan can build up a little bit of residual flour in there that can burn, and so you want to kind of dust out that excess flour. Otherwise, it'll just burn and burn. Okay, we're ready to put the last one in. All right, here's the last one. So put that in the pan. See, it's starting to bubble up, just like the others. And as you can see that it's kind of in the bag here, it's softened up, and they're looking pretty good. So here's this one again is starting to bubble up. Let me take a peek, a little bit more. It's got good color, but I like to tell you the truth, I like a little bit of this burnt portion on it. That's actually pretty authentic too. Okay, here we go. Let's flip this one over. And once again, we'll put on the top. It's smoking a little bit, but that's okay, as long as you don't set off the smoke alarm. Oh yeah, not bad. We're going to go a little bit longer. Let's see here, make sure I've got the pan centered up. Cast iron doesn't conduct heat as well as aluminum or even stainless steel, so you have to make sure the fire is pretty much uniformly over your pan. Otherwise it'll develop some cold spots. Okay, so let's take a look. Oh yeah, look at that. That looks great. Put the last one in. Okay, so seal it up. Here we go. Look at that. That's our first one, kind of like pancakes. Sometimes they are not perfect, but there it is. We'll let it sit for a little bit and then we'll try some. Let's taste this bread. It's been resting maybe 5 minutes. All right, so get out a slice and let's just break the bread and taste it. This would be great. You could use this as a wrap, but you could use it to pick up gravy or whatever. If you're having an Indian curry, that'd be a nice thing to sop things up with. And they often use these as their utensil. Oh, I like that texture. It's really, you can see. Yeah, that's very good. And it's something you can make really easily. So try this. It's pretty good.